Okay, I got a big one for you today. We're here back at Attitude First Martial Arts Academy with my teacher, Professor Lawrence Robinson. And today's question for a martial artist is a controversial one. And I'm saying this one in light of the fact that I'm standing with a 7th degree black belt with 43 years of study and talking to one of his senior students who has 13 and a half years of study with him. How much is enough in martial arts? How much for the average self-defender, like if you're not going to put this level of effort in and stick it out for years and years, how much is enough to be able to defend yourself? Let's talk about it. So, all right, so now we're talking about that person who's like, listen, I don't want to be a martial artist. I don't want to be, competing all the time. I don't want to go through and get, a brown belt or a black belt. How much is enough to be able to defend yourself on the streets, in your opinion?
Okay, this is going to be kind of tricky. All right, let me see if I can reverse this a little bit. Let's say I loved basketball, okay? And so I put up a hoop on my backboard, my garage, and I'm shooting and stuff. But I got to go play the guys down at the park, okay? Well, I go down and play the guys down at the park. They wax me.
Yeah,
because those guys are down there all the time. They're doing stuff. And if you think about it, I mean, the average person, see, that's the thing. I struggle with self-defense classes anyway. We train for maybe the top 5% of all situations.
Sure. Yeah,
It's like, oh, well, he's going to grab me and I'm going to have to go here and do this and that. And oh, he's going to put me in a headlock and I'm going to have to do these things.
We're training against a skilled opponent,
Right, and we put hours and hours and hours of training in that, where all situations start with the guy's over there and maybe he's going to say something to me. Sure, he might come up from behind and attack me, but I'm already in trouble.
Right.
If he got that close to me and he already got me in the bear hug, I'm already in a lot of trouble.
Big time.
So how much is enough? Really and truly, what I tell people, every kid walking in the door can already defend themselves. They can do it. Now, the problem is, and then I run them through the gauntlet. I say, all right, so you're 6 years old. Can you defend yourself against a 4-year-old?
Yeah, sure,
I'm
pretty
fine.
easy. Yeah.
Okay, and then we go, well, can you defend yourself against a 6-year-old? Well, unless he's really, really big. Well, what about an 8-year-old? And eventually we get to the point that I say, okay, how about a 12-year-old? And they're like, no, I can't defend myself against a 12-year-old. That's like me. Hey, I can defend myself against probably 80% of most people. But, 6'4", 285-pound football player, that's gonna be tough.
That's tough.
It's gonna be very tough. I mean, I might get in something, but he's gonna know he was in a fight, but it's gonna be tough.
Sure.
And I'm not coming out unscathed. It's just not gonna happen. So most people, a year, a good year of working on stuff, but it's like, what do you think is gonna be the situation? If you think the situation, you live in a rough environment and you need to do this, I'm going to have to play basketball every day if I want to go compete with those guys at the park.
Right.
And then, but those guys at the park, if LeBron James happened to walk down to the park, do you think LeBron James has a trouble with the guys at the park?
No, easy day, right?
He's got no problem because he trains at a totally elite, different level. So, if I felt, if I was going to go against elite martial arts, I got to train every day for years.
Against a really skilled opponent, I better get some training in.
I mean, go against Josh, I'm going to have to do 10 more years of training just to have a chance, So that's just it. It's like, what do I perceive the problem to really be?
Yeah. So, I mean, you probably, if you're somewhere on the bell curve, right, you already have the ability to defend yourself.
Sure.
And so maybe 30, 40, even 50% of people, if you're on one end of the bell curve, you're already able to defend yourself against. It's what that other percentage is. How far down the bell curve tail do you want to go?
And how far, right, exactly. What do you really see to be the perceived danger? If you're in law enforcement or something of that nature.
Moving into danger all the
right,
time.
and you're doing that, I would be training a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
And because it's going to keep your awareness up, it's going to keep your understanding of options and choices available, things of that nature, and you're going to have the skill set to go, hey, I know what level I want to take this to. I mean, I can stop it at a much minimal level, and I feel comfortable doing that. It's like, yeah, I know how to do this really good, but I don't know how hard I can hit with that.
Sure.
So if you felt you needed the skill of, hey, I need to be able to, control them here, and not hit them in the throat and kill them, crush their throat, because I don't know how hard I can hit. I know how to do this. Well, it's going to take some training to develop that skill set,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you're going to have some failures. You're going to hit somebody too hard, and then you're going to go, okay, now I need to back down. And then you're going to have people, you're not hitting them hard enough, so you have to
pay some hospital bills, like John, who busted a tooth out of somebody's head a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you got to increase it up. You got to learn,
Well, guys, I think you're hearing this from somebody who's done it for long enough to know. I think, for most people, a couple times a week for a year.
A couple times for a week should make them feel very, very comfortable. A year to 2 years max. I would say most people I always think we shouldn't be in business. And I'm sorry to say this. This is a curriculum that should be at every school, that every kid learns, for a period of time. And the thing that happens is it might develop more respect for one another. So it would actually, people say, well, no, that would increase violence. No, you know what? I think it would decrease violence.
I agree with you. Because it would teach respect.
Sure.
And, again, a society that is polite, where especially I think there's great camaraderie built out on the mats.
There is.
That you learn, you gain good friendships and you learn respect for people. And that's part of the value, I think, of traditional martial arts.
And there's sort of this falsity that says, hey, I'll just smack the guy in the head. So then you come to class and you smack the guy in the head and you hurt your hand. You're like, oh, wait, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
And he didn't fall over.
And he
This
didn't
is the
fall
weirdest
over,
thing
right.
ever. Craziness. So guys, I would just say this, again, as somebody who trains kind of as a lifestyle and does those kinds of things, and training under somebody who's done it for a lot longer, we do this stuff because we love it. We have found a passion in it. We have found enjoyment in it. But if you're going to just be a self-defender, commit to a year of a couple times a week.
At least.
And find a great teacher in the school that you're in. And I think that will lead you to a good place of self-defense, and then evaluate from there if you find you love it. When I first started training with you, I don't know if I've ever told you this story, that James asked me to come train, right? And my son, when he was a little guy, and I was like, okay, buddy, I'll come do it, get a yellow belt. That'll take me 6 months or 8 months, something like that. And then I'll be done. And then that way we have that together. Well, that yellow belt turned into a little bit more over time, just because I was like, this is fun. I'm just going to keep at it. It makes me better and, helps me.
Yeah, again, it is about relationships. And when you work with people, and you work with a 5-year-old kid and you see their enjoyment and you see the excitement they get about the skills they're developing, it's just as exciting as working with a 35-year-old and watching them go apply for a new job, because now they suddenly are feeling better about themselves and they have more confidence and they commit themselves and they go and they get a job and they come back and they say, hey, I want to learn more because this is helping me get other things in life. It's pretty exciting.
So, guys, commit to a year of training, and I think you'll be much better than you would otherwise. Professor, really appreciate you.
Thank you.